Welcome, dear listener, to Peacetime Stories, your haven of tranquil tales where mysteries unfold like petals in moonlight, and every whisper carries the promise of calm. I'm your guide through these serene evenings, and tonight we step onto the shimmering crystal bridge with Hercule Poirot in Hercule Poirot and the Death on the Crystal Bridge. Before we begin, please subscribe to never miss a story. Your support keeps our hearth glowing. Now, settle in. Chapter: The Glass That Shattered Silence. The crystal bridge shimmered above the Thames like a shard of moonlight frozen mid-leap. Spanning the river from the south bank to the shadow of St. Paul's, it was a marvel of modern engineering. 200 meters of tempered glass, transparent as a dragonfly's wing, suspended by cables so fine they seemed spun from starlight. On this gala night in late October 1936, the bridge was alive with London's elite. Black ties and diamond chokers, the scent of tuberose and ambition thick in the air. Champagne fizzed in crystal flutes. A string quartet played Debussy beneath a canopy of fairy lights that reflected in the glass like constellations trapped beneath the walker's feet. Hercule Poirot stood at the bridge's centre, a compact figure in impeccable evening dress, his patent leather shoes gleaming, his moustache waxed to geometric perfection. He had been invited as the guest of honour, London's tribute to the little Belgian who had solved the Orient Express affair. Yet Poirot's green eyes were not on the chandeliers or the canapes. They were on the glass itself. He tapped the floor with his cane. Solid, he thought. Yet glass is never truly safe. It remembers every flaw. The heiress Vivienne Lacroix glided past him, a vision in scarlet silk that clung like liquid fire. Her diamond tiara, rumoured to be worth a king's ransom, flashed with each turn of her head. She was laughing at something her companion, a tall man in a midnight blue tuxedo, whispered in her ear. Poirot noted the man's left hand, gloved in crimson opera leather, the same shade as Vivienne's gown. Curious. Men wore black gloves to galas, not scarlet. At 11:47 p.m., the orchestra struck the opening notes of Clair de Lune. The crowd formed a circle around Vivienne as she stepped onto the central dais, a circular platform of glass etched with the Lacroix crest. She raised her flute in a toast, "To the future, clear, unbreakable, eternal." The applause was thunderous. Then, crack, a sound like a glacier carving. The glass beneath her feet spider-webbed in a perfect star. Vivienne's smile froze. Her tiara slipped. She pitched forward, through the panel, into the void. The scream that followed was not hers. It came from a dowager in pearls as Vivienne vanished, her scarlet gown a comet's tail against the black water 30 meters below. The tiara spun, glittering, then sank like a fallen star. Chaos erupted. Women clutched their escorts. Men shouted for ropes. The orchestra's bows scraped discordant shrieks. Poirot alone remained still, his cane planted like a flag. He watched the shattered panel, not shattered by impact. The edges were clean, sliced from within, the cuts radiating from a central point no larger than a sixpence. "Mon Dieu," he murmured, "the glass was murdered before she fell." Inspector Japp arrived within minutes, his trench coat flapping like a crow's wing. The bridge was sealed, entrances barred, guests herded to the South Bank Pavilion. Poirot knelt by the hole, his magnifying glass glinting. The cuts were precise, made by a diamond-tipped blade from beneath. He traced the underside of the adjacent panel, a faint scuff mark, the size of a man's shoe, heel deeper than toe. Someone had stood under the bridge, on the maintenance catwalk that was supposed to have been removed during construction. "Japp!" Poirot called, The catwalk! It was not removed. It was hidden. Japp's face was grim. The architect Lucien Valois swears it was scrapped. Plans are in my office. But the tide's rising. Vivian's body? He swallowed. We may never find her. Poirot's eyes narrowed. The river keeps its secrets, but glass does not lie. Observe, the panel was replaced. This is not the original. The etching of the Lacroix crest is shallower here, the glass thinner, a duplicate, pre-scored to fracture under 120 pounds. Vivienne weighed 118. A constable approached, holding a crimson opera glove snagged on a crystal shard. The fingers were elegantly long, the palm stained with something dark. Blood? No, Poirot sniffed. Champagne. And inside the cuff, a monogram in gold thread. E.L. Tiens, Poirot said. The companion's glove, left-handed. Yet he wore two gloves when I saw him. Where is this man? The companion, Etienne Lacroix, Vivienne's estranged twin brother, had vanished. Last seen near the Champagne station, pouring a flute with a trembling hand. The bartender remembered. He asked for the 28 Krug, said it was for his sister. Then he disappeared into the crowd. Poirot examined the glove under his glass. A single thread, silk scarlet, had snagged on the shard pulled loose from the seam. He followed the thread's trajectory. It led to the edge of the hole, then down, into the darkness beneath the bridge. He lay flat, peering through the gap. 30 meters below, the Thames churned, black and oily. But on the catwalk's railing, a second glove, matching crimson, right-handed, fluttered like a surrender flag. Japp, Poirot said, rising. We descend. The killer walked beneath the stars and left his shadow in glass. The maintenance ladder was concealed behind a panel marked Authorized Personnel Only. Poirot descended first, his cane tapping each rung. The catwalk was narrow, swaying slightly with the wind. The air smelled of river mud and engine oil. Halfway across, he found it. A diamond-tipped glass cutter, its handle wrapped in crimson silk, the mate to the glove. And etched into the metal, property of Lacroix Jewelers, Paris. Japp whistled. Etienne's tool. He cut the panel from below, swapped it with the duplicate, then lured Vivienne onto it. But why? Poirot's eyes gleamed. Because the bridge was her triumph, and his prison. She cut him from the will last month. 40 million Japp. Enough to make a brother a ghost. They reached the north bank. The pavilion was a hive of panic. Women weeping into furs, men demanding answers. Poirot moved among them, his questions soft but relentless. A debutante remembered. Etienne was jealous. Vivienne mocked him, said the bridge was hers alone, that he'd never build anything but resentment. A sommelier added, He poured her champagne, then slipped away. I thought he was ill. Poirot paused by the Champagne station. A flute lay abandoned, its rims stained with lipstick, scarlet, matching the gown. He lifted it. The champagne was flat, the bubbles long dead. And at the bottom, a single white pill, half dissolved. Sacre bleu, he breathed. Not just a fall, a push, chemical, invisible. She was drugged to stumble. Japp barked orders. Seal the bridge. No one leaves. But Poirot's gaze was on the river. The tide had turned. The water lapped hungrily at the pilings. Somewhere below, Vivienne's body drifted, her tiara lost to the silt. Yet the glove, the left-handed glove, fluttered still, a crimson flag in the night. Japp, Poirot said, the brother is not fleeing, he is watching. Find the man with one glove. He will lead us to the duplicate panel and the truth. The orchestra silenced, stood in a huddle. One violinist whispered, The music stopped at 11:47. Then the scream, but I saw him, Etienne, on the catwalk after she fell. He was smiling. Poirot's moustache twitched. Smiling. Then the performance is not over. The curtain rises on Act 2. He turned to the shattered hole, the city lights fracturing in the jagged glass. The crystal bridge, symbol of clarity of progress, had become a mirror reflecting only betrayal. And somewhere in its depths, a brother's shadow waited. Chapter 2. The Architect's Vanishing Blueprint. Dawn over the Thames was a watercolour of bruised lilac and tarnished gold. The river exhaling mist that curled around the crystal bridge like a mourner's veil. The gala's fairy lights had been extinguished, leaving the structure stark and skeletal, its glass panels clouded with frost. Police launches bobbed below, their searchlights carving pale tunnels through the murk. But Vivienne Lacroix's body remained elusive, swallowed by the tide, perhaps, or snagged in the pilings like a scarlet secret. Hercule Poirot stood on the South Bank embankment, his overcoat buttoned to the chin, his cane tapping a measured rhythm against the cobblestones. The crimson opera glove, left-handed, monogrammed, L, lay in an evidence envelope in his pocket, its silk still damp with river spray. Inspector Japp approached, his boots crunching on shattered glass swept into piles by the night crew. Divers found the tiara at low tide, wedged in a shopping trolley of all things, no sign of the lady. But the bridge architect Lucien Valois is in the pavilion, swears the maintenance catwalk was scrapped 6 months ago. Plans are locked in his office at Westminster. Poirot's eyes gleamed like winter frost. Plans, Japp, are like love letters, written with passion, but often rewritten in haste. We will see these plans, and we will see Monsieur Valois. The pavilion had been transformed into a makeshift incident room. Trestle tables groaned under typewriters. Telephones jangled, constables brewed tea thick as tar. Lucien Valois sat in a velvet chair that looked absurdly opulent amid the chaos, his lean frame folded like a pocket-knife. He was 42, Gallic to the core, black hair slicked back, a moustache thinner than Poirot's, but twice as nervous. His fingers drummed a silent fugue on a rolled blueprint. Poirot, bowing slightly. Monsieur Valois, the crystal bridge is your masterpiece. Yet last night it became a scaffold. Explain the catwalk. Valois unrolled the blueprint with trembling hands. The design was exquisite. Cross-sections of glass panels, cable tensions calculated to the gram, the Lacroix crest etched in miniature at the centre. A red line struck through a narrow rectangle beneath the dais. Catwalk removed 14th April to 1936. Valois' signature flourished beneath. Scraped, he said, voice brittle. The contractors, McAlpin and Sons, hauled it to the yard in Deptford. I have the receipt. He slid a carbon copy across the table. $250 for removal, signed by Foreman J. Hargreaves. Poirot's magnifying glass hovered. The ink was fresh, the paper crisp, too crisp. This receipt is dated yesterday, monsieur. Yet the removal was 6 months ago. Curious. Valois paled. A clerical error. My secretary will confirm nothing, Japp growled. She's on holiday in Brighton. Convenient. Poirot tapped the blueprint. The catwalk was hidden, not removed. Observe. The cable anchors here, here, here. He pointed to 3 minute dots. Are rated for £2,000 each. Enough for a platform. Yet the plans show only decorative caps. Faux. He produced a handheld UV torch from his coat, a gift from a grateful Maharaja. The blueprint glowed under the purple beam, faint weld marks beneath the dais, forming a perfect rectangle. The catwalk was there, invisible to the naked eye, but screaming in ultraviolet. Valois slumped. I may have overlooked a detail. The contractors insisted on a temporary scaffold for polishing. I signed off. Non. Poirot's voice cut like a diamond. "You signed a forgery. Someone paid to keep the catwalk and to erase it from the record." Japp's men raided Valois' office at noon. The safe yielded a second blueprint, rolled tighter than a cigarette, its edges singed. This one showed the catwalk intact, and a hidden hatch beneath the dais, accessed by a magnetic key. The paper was watermarked Lacroix Jewelers, Paris. And in the margin, a note in Vivian's elegant hand, "For Etienne, my shadow, never remove." Poirot's moustache bristled. The twin. He designed the trap with her blessing. Then she betrayed him. In the Deptford scrapyard, the air reeked of rust and diesel. McAlpine's foreman, Hargreaves, was a bull of a man with a broken nose and a ledger full of lies. Under Japp's glare, he cracked like cheap plaster. Junior engineer Tommy Wren paid me $10,000 cash to forge the removal order. Said it was for artistic integrity. Money came in a crimson envelope, monogrammed EL. Poirot examined the envelope, now evidence. Inside, a locket, gold, heart-shaped, containing a miniature portrait of Vivienne and Etienne as children, arms entwined. On the back, engraved Forever One Treville. "Tiens," Poirot murmured. "The brother was not cut from the will. He was erased from her heart. But he kept the key." Back at the bridge, dusk painted the glass blood orange. Poirot descended the maintenance ladder alone, his torch carving a tunnel through the gloom. The catwalk was a spider's web of steel, swaying gently. He found the hatch, seamless, opened by a magnetic fob shaped like a tiny tiara. Inside, a toolbox, its lid stenciled Lacroix Jewelers. Tools for glass cutting, a spare panel pre-scored with the Lacroix crest, thinner, rigged to shatter, and a ledger, its pages filled with Etienne's spidery script, dates, payments, a final entry. 11:47 p.m. She falls. I rise. Poirot closed the ledger. The architect was a pawn. The twin was the king. Japp's voice crackled over the radio. "Etienne's flat in Mayfair. Raided. Empty, but we found a waiter's tuxedo soaked in champagne and a bottle of Veronal, same as the pill in the flute. He's in the wind." Poirot emerged onto the bridge. The city lights flickered on, reflecting in the glass like 1,000 accusing eyes. He held the magnetic fob to the sky. Its tiny tiara caught the glow, fracturing it into rainbows. "Japp," he said, "the brother is not fleeing. He is hiding in plain sight. Find the man who served the champagne. He will wear the face of a ghost and the glove of a killer." The river below churned, black and hungry. Somewhere in its depths, Vivian's secret slept. But the bridge, her bridge, whispered still, its glass holding the echo of a scream that had not yet faded. Chapter 3. The twins' reflection in Crystal Friday crept over London like a thief in velvet gloves, the sky a pewter lid pressed upon the city's rooftops. Fog slithered from the Thames, thick as cigar smoke, swallowing the Crystal Bridge until only its cable anchors gleamed, ghostly sentinels in the haze. Hercule Poirot stood in the Scotland Yard screening room, a converted cellar that smelled of damp stone and projector oil. The reel-to-reel Word, grainy black and white footage flickered on the wall. The gala, captured by a newsreel crew for pâté, unspooled in jerky silence, laughter frozen in mid-bubble, champagne flutes raised like sabres, Vivienne Lacroix radiant at the centre of the dais. Poirot leaned forward, his cane balanced across his knees. "La! Pause!" The projectionist froze the frame. Vivian's scarlet gown billowed as she stepped onto the glass platform. 11:46 p.m. Behind her, a figure in an identical gown slipped through a service door, marked staff only. The face was obscured by a feathered mask, but the posture, exact, A twin. Mon Dieu, Poirot breathed. Etienne wore her skin. Japp scratched his chin. The door leads to the catwalk hatch, but the footage shows him exiting at 11:48 in a waiter's tuxedo carrying a tray, no gown, no mask. How'd he change in 60 seconds? Poirot's eyes sparked, because the gown was reversible. Silk scarlet one side, black linen the other. The mask, feathers detachable, a costume change worthy of Whodunit. He demanded the original film canister. Inside, tucked beneath the reel, a single crimson feather, its quill tipped with glass dust. Poirot held it to the light. From the mask. Caught in the projector gate when the panel shattered, the killer filmed his own crime. At midnight, Poirot orchestrated a reconstruction on the bridge itself. The fog had lifted. The glass gleamed under floodlights like a frozen lake. He hired identical twins, Lillian and Louise, music hall performers with a knack for quick changes. Lillian wore Vivian's gown, recreated by a Bond Street seamstress in 6 hours. Louise donned the waiter's tuxedo. A duplicate panel, pre-scored, etched with the Lacroix crest, lay ready. Action, Poirot commanded. Lillian stepped onto the dais at 11:46. Louise, masked and gowned, vanished through the service door. 47 seconds later, the panel cracked. A hairline fracture spiderwebbing under Lillian's weight. She stumbled, arms windmilling, but ropes harnessed her safely. Louise emerged at 11:48, tuxedo immaculate, tray balanced with a single flute of ginger ale. The gown gone. She twirled, revealing the scarlet silk inside the black linen, reversible, the feathers tucked into a hidden pocket. The watching constables gasped. Japp whistled. 47 seconds. He swapped the panel, drugged the champagne, and lured her onto it. But the engraving? Poirot knelt by the duplicate panel. Under his UV torch, a microscopic inscription glowed. For V, forever, Iggy. Etched with a jeweler's laser, invisible to the naked eye. Vivian's childhood nickname for Etienne. Vivi and Eti. Sentiment, Poirot said softly. The killer signed his work. Back at Scotland Yard, the evidence board was a constellation of horror. The crimson glove, the reversible gown, the veronal pill, the magnetic fob. Poirot pinned a photograph. Vivienne and Etienne at age 10, arms entwined, tiaras of daisies on their heads. On the back, in faded ink, Forever 1V. Japp slammed a file. Etienne's asylum records, 1928. Vivian had him committed after their parents died in a yacht fire. Claimed he was delusional, hearing voices. Released, 1935, vanished. Until the bridge. Poirot traced the photograph's edge. She built her triumph on his prison. The catwalk was their secret, designed together as children, a game of hide-and-seek. She kept it for nostalgia. He kept it for revenge. A constable burst in. Sir, the tuxedo from Etienne's flat, tailor's label. Delivered yesterday to a costume shop in Soho. Owner says a man matching Etienne's description rented it for a private performance. Paid in cash, left a deposit, a diamond earring. Poirot's moustache twitched. Vivienne's earring. Torn from her lobe in the struggle, he kept it as a trophy. The costume shop was a cavern of sequins and mothballs. The owner, a wizened woman named Mrs. Finch, produced the earring, blood-stained, the post bent. He said it was for a play, The Fallen Star. Gave me this, too. She handed over a playbill, handwritten. Act 2. The bridge. She falls. He rises. Curtain. Poirot's blood ran cold. The performance is not over. He plans an encore. At 3 a.m., Poirot returned to the bridge alone. The floodlights were off. The glass reflected only the moon and his solitary figure. He descended to the catwalk, the magnetic fob in hand. The hatch opened with a sigh. Inside the toolbox, a second duplicate panel, pre-scored, and a reel of film labelled for the world to see. He threaded the reel into a portable projector smuggled from the yard. The screen, improvised on the catwalk's underside, flickered to life. Etienne's face filled the frame, pale and luminous, the reversible gown half scarlet, half black. "Vivy," he whispered to the camera, "you built your palace on my grave. Tonight I dance on the ruins. The world will see your fall, again and again." The film cut to the gala. Vivian's toast, the crack, the scream. But this version was edited, slowed, looped, her face frozen in terror. A final frame. Etienne's gloved hand pressing the veronal pill into her flute, his lips forming a kiss. Poirot stopped the reel. "Madness," he murmured, "but madness with method." He found the projector rig, hidden in the cable housing, wired to broadcast the film onto the bridge's glass at midnight tomorrow, the gala's anniversary. A public execution replayed for eternity. Japp's voice crackled over the radio. "Poirot! Etienne's been spotted at the Royal Opera House. Bought a ticket for Tosca, box 5. Poirot's smile was thin. Tosca, where the diva leaps to her death. He cannot resist the parallel. We go to the opera. The Royal Opera House glowed like a jewel box, its chandeliers dripping light. Poirot slipped into box 5 minutes before curtain. Etienne sat alone, the crimson glove on his left hand, a single white rose in his lapel. On the seat beside him, the magnetic fob, ticking like a bomb. "Poirot," softly. "Monsieur, the performance is over. The bridge is closed. Your film confiscated. Surrender the fob." Etienne's laugh was a shard of glass. "You're too late, Poirot. The encore begins at midnight. The world will see her fall. Forever." He lunged, the fob raised like a dagger. Poirot sidestepped, his cane hooking Etienne's ankle. The twin crashed into the velvet railing, the fob skittering across the floor. Japp's men swarmed. Etienne's final scream echoed the aria below. "Vivi, amore mio!" as handcuffs clicked. Poirot retrieved the fob. Inside its tiara, a microfilm, the bridge's original plan signed by both twins. A pact of childhood, broken by betrayal. Family, Poirot sighed, the most fragile illusion of all. The curtain fell on Tosca. The diva's leap was met with thunderous applause. But in box 5, only silence remained, and the faint scent of tuberose, carried on a crimson glove. Chapter 4. The Opera Glove's Hidden Stitch. Saturday unfurled over London like a blood-stained curtain. The sky a sullen crimson that mirrored the glove now locked in Scotland Yard's evidence vault. The Royal Opera House had yielded its prisoner at dawn. Etienne Lacroix, wrists cuffed, eyes blazing with the fever of a man who believed himself the hero of his own tragedy. Yet the Crimson Bridge case was not closed. The river still hoarded Vivian's body, and the city buzzed with headlines, "Twins' Revenge on Crystal Death Trap," while Poirot paced the yard's incident room, his cane carving arcs in the sawdust. The magnetic fob lay dissected on the table, its microfilm unspooled like a serpent's tongue, revealing blueprints signed in childish scrawl. V&E, Architects of Forever. Inspector Japp burst in, waving a forensic report. The veronal pill, custom compound, laced with belladonna. Enough to dilate pupils, stagger balance, but not kill. Etienne wanted her aware when she fell. Poirot's green eyes narrowed. Precisement. A fall witnessed by 200, yet seen by none. The glove, left-handed, is the key. Examine the stitching. The glove, laid beneath a microscope, revealed its secret. The cuff's inner seam concealed a gold cufflink, monogrammed EL, its diamond setting crusted with dried blood. Vivienne's, type O positive. The post was bent, as though wrenched from fabric in violence. Tiens, Poirot murmured. Reported stolen from Etienne's Mayfair flat the night Vivian rewrote her will, cutting him out entirely. He wore it as a trophy. Japp slammed a file. Flat's landlord, Aguirre, confirms Etienne returned at 2 a.m. covered in glass dust, changed into the reversible gown, Vivian's spare kept in her penthouse. He had a key. Poirot donned white gloves, lifting the cufflink to the light. The diamond, flawed. A hairline fracture, invisible to the eye, but under pressure. He pressed it against a glass shard from the bridge. The diamond shattered, revealing a hollow core, a microcapsule, now empty. Sacre bleu! A poison reservoir, belladonna droplets, released when the cufflink tore free during the struggle. She scratched him. Blood under her nails will match. The penthouse on Park Lane was a cathedral of Art Deco excess. Mirrors that reflected infinity. A chandelier of Lalique glass dripping like frozen tears. Vivian's wardrobe occupied an entire room. Gowns in regimented rows, scarlet predominant. Poirot opened a hidden panel. A second reversible gown. Scarlet outside, black within, feathers detachable with Velcro tabs, a theatrical prototype. On the hanger, a blood-stained scrap of silk, torn by the cufflink. She fought, Poirot said, but the drug was already in her veins. A safe behind a Modigliani yielded the original will, dated 3 days before the gala. Etienne inherited half, $20 million. The rewritten version found in Vivian's desk left him nothing, the estate to a children's hospital. A note in her hand. Ettie's mind is broken. I cannot fund madness. Japp's radio crackled. Divers found her, Poirot, tangled in nets off Greenwich, throat slashed, post-mortem. The fall didn't kill her. Poirot's face hardened. No, the fall was the curtain raiser. The slash, insurance. He dove after her, finished the job in the water. The tiara, planted in the trolley to mislead. At the morgue, Vivienne lay on steel, her beauty marred only by the livid gash across her throat. Poirot noted the bruising on her wrists, finger marks, left-handed grip, and under her nails, skin flakes, Etienne's DNA match pending. He held her under, Poirot whispered. A lover's embrace turned executioner. Back at the yard, Etienne sat in interrogation, the crimson glove on the table like a severed hand. His eyes were hollow, but his voice steady. Etienne. She locked me in that asylum for 7 years, Poirot. Drugged me, called me mad because I heard our parents' voices in the flames. The bridge was our dream, built with father's fortune. She stole it, stole me. I gave her the fall she deserved. Poirot. You drugged her champagne at 11:40, lured her to the dais with a whisper, one last dance, Vivie. Swapped the panel at 11:46. She fell at 11:47. You dove after, slashed her throat to ensure silence. The tiara, GPS etched, leading to Valois, a frame-up. Etienne smiled, thin as a blade. The glove, my signature, left-handed, like Da Vinci. She always mocked my art. Poirot produced a fountain pen microphone, its nib recording. Your confession, monsieur. Broadcast to the press in 1 hour. The world will see your fall. Etienne lunged, but Japp's men pinned him. The glove slipped from the table, landing palm up, empty, the cufflink gone. In the evidence room, Poirot found the cufflink, replaced with a miniature lens, a camera. Etienne had filmed the murder from his wrist, the footage hidden in the glove's lining. The reel, recovered, showed Vivian's final moments. Her eyes wide with recognition, her lips forming Eti, why before the glass gave way. Madness, Poirot said, captured in high definition. The press conference was a circus. Flashbulbs popped like gunfire. Reporters shouted questions. Poirot stood before the bridge, now cordoned with police tape, the whole patched with plywood. He held the glove aloft. Messieurs, dames, the crystal bridge was no accident. It was a stage, and Etienne Lacroix the director. He drugged his sister, swapped the panel, insured her death in the river, the glove, his prop, his confession. A journalist shouted, "Motive!" Poirot's voice carried over the wind. "Betrayal!" She institutionalized him to seize the fortune. He built her tomb with the same hands she once held. Etienne, in the paddock wagon, screamed, "She was mine! The bridge was ours!" Poirot turned away. The river lapped at the pilings, indifferent. The tiara, cleaned of silt, gleamed in an evidence box, destined for auction. Proceeds to the orphanage Vivienne had chosen. Japp lit a cigarette. Case closed. Poirot's gaze lingered on the glove. Almost. One stitch remains. In Etienne's cell, Poirot faced him one last time. The twin sat hunched, the fight gone. "Poirot, the cufflink camera, where is the master reel?" Etienne laughed, broken. "In the one place you'll never look, her heart." Poirot's blood ran cold. The morgue, Vivienne's autopsy. The pathologist had noted a foreign object in her chest cavity, a locket swallowed in panic. Inside, the master reel, etched with their parents' yacht coordinates. The fire Etienne claimed was murder. "He swallowed her secret," Poirot whispered, "and she carried it to her grave." The reel, recovered, showed the yacht fire. Arson, gasoline trails visible. Vivienne's voice, young and terrified. "A.T., we have to tell." His reply, "They'll lock us away, burn it." Poirot closed the evidence box. 2 children, 1 crime. She tried to bury it. He resurrected it in glass. The crystal bridge reopened at dusk, its patch seamless. Poirot walked its length alone, the city lights fracturing in the panels like a kaleidoscope of sins. He paused at the centre, placing the crimson glove on the glass. "Adieu, Etienne. Your stage is dark." The glove fluttered once, then slipped through a crack, falling, into the Thames. The river took it, as it had taken Vivienne. Secrets, like bodies, sank without a trace. Chapter 5. The Bridge of Schuss, Shattered Illusions. Sunday rose over the Thames like a phoenix from ash. The sky a delicate porcelain blue, washed clean by overnight rain. The crystal bridge stood pristine once more, its patched panel gleaming as if the fracture had been a dream. Workers in cherry pickers polished the glass to a mirror finish. The cables hummed with the promise of renewal. Londoners gathered on the embankments, newspapers clutched like talismans, waiting for the official reopening. The headlines screamed in bold ink, "Twin killer confesses, bridge redeemed." Yet Hercule Poirot felt no triumph. The case was closed. Etienne Lacroix chained in wormwood scrubs. The master reel locked in evidence. Still, the little Belgian's moustache twitched with unease. Something glitters too brightly, he thought. It hides a flaw. At 10 a.m., Poirot convened the gala's key witnesses on the bridge itself, invited under the guise of a ceremonial toast. The platform was draped in white linen. A string quartet played a gentle Vivaldi. Champagne flowed, though Poirot sipped only Perrier. Lucien Valois, the architect, stood pale but defiant. His blueprints rolled like a scroll of absolution. The junior engineer, Tommy Wren, fidgeted in a new suit, his $10,000 bribe returned in shame. The sommelier, the debutante, the violinist, each held a flute, each eyed the glass beneath their feet with lingering dread. Poirot raised his cane like a conductor's baton. "Mesdames et messieurs, today we bury the past, but first we expose it." Etienne Lacroix did not act alone. Observe." He signalled. Constables wheeled in a portable screen, its canvas taut. A projector whirred, the master reel, recovered from Vivien's locket, now edited by Poirot himself. The footage began innocently. The twins as children, building a model bridge from sugar cubes on their father's yacht. Vivien's laughter rang like bells. Etienne's eyes already held shadows. Then the fire, gasoline trails, a match struck by a gloved hand, not the parents'. The children's screams. Vivien's voice, aged 10. "Etty, we must tell." His reply, fierce. "They'll say we did it. Burn the truth." The screen cut to the gala. Etienne, in the reversible gown, whispering to Vivienne at 11:40, "One last dance, Vivi, for Mother." Her smile faltered. She followed. The panel swap. 47 seconds of balletic precision. The fall. But Poirot froze the frame on Etienne's dive. A second figure in the water, masked, pulling Vivienne clear of the nets. A woman, slender, dark-haired. Gasps rippled. Valois stammered. "That's my assistant, Camille Dupont. She was on leave." "Non," Poirot said. "She was Etienne's lover, the true architect of the frame-up." Camille was dragged forward, wrists cuffed, her face a mask of defiance. "He promised me half the fortune. Vivienne was a monster, locked him away, stole his genius. I slashed her throat to ensure silence." Poirot's voice was soft, thunder. "You etched the tiara's GPS to Valois' office. You forged the removal order. But the cufflink camera, your idea. You filmed the murder for blackmail." Camille spat. "Etienne was weak. I made him strong." Jap's men found the original tiara in Camille's flat, hidden in a hollowed-out violin case, its diamonds reset to spell vengeance in Morse. The blood on the post? Vivienne's, but the DNA under her nails, Camille's. Etienne had held her under. Camille delivered the coup de grâce. The quartet ceased. Poirot turned to the crowd. The bridge was never flawed, only the hearts upon it. Vivienne sought redemption, her will to the orphanage, her childhood secret buried. Etienne sought revenge. Camille sought power. All three shattered on the same illusion, that blood binds tighter than truth. He produced the crimson glove, now cleaned, its cufflink replaced with a single white diamond, Vivienne's, from the orphanage fund. This glove, left-handed, like the lies. Today, it becomes right. He placed it on the dais. A workman unveiled a plaque. In memory of Vivienne Lacroix, may clarity prevail. The orphanage children, invited as guests, stepped forward, small hands placing white roses around the glove. The bridge's glass reflected their faces, innocent, unbroken. Valois approached, eyes wet. "I overlooked the catwalk for love of the design. Forgive me." Poirot inclined his head. "Monsieur, genius is forgiven, deception is not." Tommy Wren handed over his bribe money, 10,000 in crisp notes. "For the children," the sommelier poured a final flute. "Ginger ale. To second chances." Poirot raised his Perrier. "À la vérité," and to the Thames, which carries all away. The bridge reopened at noon. Londoners streamed across, their footsteps a gentle drumbeat on the glass. Poirot walked last, pausing at the centre. He drew the magnetic fob from his pocket, its tiara now reset with a single sapphire, the orphanage's crest. He tossed it into the river. It arced, a blue spark, then vanished. Jap joined him. "Case closed, Poirot." "Complete. The illusions are shattered. The bridge stands." Below, the Thames flowed on, indifferent, its surface a mirror of the sky. The white roses drifted from the dais, caught in the current, carried towards the sea. The children waved. The quartet played Clair de Lune, soft, redemptive. Poirot's final thought as he turned away. Family is the most fragile glass. It reflects us truly until we choose to look away. The crystal bridge gleamed, flawless, transparent and forever changed. London walked upon it, unaware of the secrets beneath, secrets now sunk like the glove, like the fob, like the lies. The city moved forward, and the river, as always, kept its counsel.